Well, hello guys, Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. It's a little windy out here, I apologize. I got to get my steps in. It's about 98 degrees, but I got to get 10,000 at least every day. All right, so the numbers are in for Pat Mahomes' deal. Are you ready for this? 22.7% of the salary cap. $45 million a year. Let me say again, $45 million a year. Blowing Russell Wilson's contract out the frickin' water. So, this is historic. No, there were rumors that his contract would be tied to the salary cap. That ended up not being the case. It was thought that a percentage of the salary cap would go to him. So now we're talking about $45 million per year, 22.7% of the current salary cap percentage-wise. Now here's where it gets interesting because we don't know how it's completely structured. He still had 2 years left to his rookie deal. This could be extended onto it, so technically this could be a 12-year deal. What this does is it gives flexibility to Kansas City to be able to spread this deal out. They can basically write him a check for $150 million and it not really count much against the salary cap because it's spread over 10 years. In which case it would only be $15 million a year would be that guaranteed portion, and turn around and say that this year is only $1 million. So as a rule, the longer the deal is, the better for the team. Now, here's where it gets interesting. $45 million sounds like a lot of money, and it is, don't get me wrong. But we're looking at things from right now. Think about where we were 5 years ago. 5 years ago, $20 million was about the going rate for a quarterback on the high end. I think Drew Brees was at about 18 something. And here we are 5 years later, and it's doubled. If this is the case, if the salary cap does explode the way they're expecting it to do over the course of the next 10 years during the salary era, that may end up looking like chump change. And we always end up having deals that are done that we look at that we say, oh my God, it'll never be beaten. When Troy Aikman signed his deal and basically got like $10 million, everybody's eyes were like, oh my God, this is just insane money. Yeah. Well, kickers are making what Troy Aikman made back when the salary cap first came about. So from the standpoint of where we are now, yeah, it's eye-opening. Now, the question becomes is, as we've heard that you can't pay a quarterback, you won't be able to win, that you want to keep the number somewhere around 15%, well, that's just blown out of the water. And you can best believe that other quarterbacks are going to not say, oh, well, Pat Mahomes, he got 45, he's special, so I'm going to settle for 30. No. What this does is it raises the bar for everybody. And that deal that Dak Prescott had, looking at 35, where you're talking about $10 million less a year, is a little bit different than what Pat Mahomes makes. Now, here's the thing. I want you to understand that Kirk Cousins currently, over the next 3 years for the Minnesota Vikings, has $96 million guaranteed. Kirk Cousins. That works out to 32 a year, something like that. That's Kirk Cousins. You look at now Pat Mahomes over that same period, it's a whole lot more. It's like $140 million. So, the question now is, does Kirk Cousins look and say, I'm getting shortchanged? Does somebody like Matt Ryan, who's getting $30 million, look and say, hey, wait a minute, he's getting $15 million more? And I can guarantee you that there's a lot of quarterbacks out there right now that are happy as can be. If you're Lamar Jackson, you love this. If you're Dak Prescott, you're going, that's my boy. If you are Deshaun Watson, you're saying hell to the yes. Because this just raised the ceiling for everybody else. We kept looking at Russell Wilson being the bar, right? Russell Wilson at 35. Then you had Big Ben come in at 34. Then you had Carson Wentz. 33 and a half. And then you had Jared Goff, 33. Everybody came in from the top of that bar. So now you can best believe that Watson is sinking 40 million or more. Now the question will be is, can you get that much with a short deal? And that's going to be the selling point for Kansas City is, well, we could go that high because we could spread it out over a long period of time. Whereas quarterbacks are looking at it and saying, nah, we want a shorter deal. So there's going to be some give and take in between the two of those of where they land. But it's going to be interesting to say the least. $45 million a year, 10-year deal, $450 million. Still don't know what the guarantee portion of it is, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a lot. So we've got Dak Prescott, who we believe on the table, the Dallas Cowboys have $35 million a year for 5 years. In order for Dak to sign to that 5-year term, I think he's going to want that sweetened up a little bit. It's going to be interesting as we have 9 days left to get a deal done with this new ammunition. Here's the thing that really just makes me go, damn. A year and a half ago, I said the Dallas Cowboys need to get Dak Prescott's deal done. We need to get this thing done before Russell Wilson signs his deal. Because we know Russell Wilson was going to raise the roof, as he should have. The Cowboys and Cowboy fans, nah, man, make him prove it. Make him prove it. Yeah, okay. And he did that. And you had the opportunity to get it done. And I said the same thing. Get this thing done before Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. The longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you. And now, when the Cowboys could have had Dak Prescott locked up for 4 or 5 years at under $30 million a couple of years ago, now you're staring down the barrel of a 12-gauge shotgun where the numbers just continue to go up. And so much for Kansas City worrying about the salary cap going down next year. Yeah, they don't seem to be worried. And that may be part of the reason why they threw so much money and made an offer that Pat Mahomes couldn't refuse. Is so they could get that flexibility of time being on their side. Because now they can rework the deal. They can use it, guarantee more money depending on, unless it's fully guaranteed. If it's fully guaranteed, then it's a little different. But they can actually use this contract to create space down the road as they need it. And the interesting thing about this will be with Pat Mahomes' deal, you're not looking at a $45 million hit this year. They probably just created cap space for their team to be able to make moves. Much like the Dallas Cowboys, if they were to go ahead and get serious and get Dak Prescott's deal done, they would actually create more cap space that if they did want to make a move for a Jamal Adams or anybody else out there, they have flexibility on the cap to be able to do so. I really and truly don't understand what the Dallas Cowboys are doing and waiting on with Dak. They always seem to keep thinking that they're great negotiators and that they can always work out these fantastic deals and that they're smarter than everybody in the room. In the end, they never get a deal. They didn't get a deal with Dak. A deal with Zeke. He ends up holding out and hurting their season. They didn't get a deal with D-Law. He ends up not getting his shoulder worked on. They keep shooting themselves in the foot and waiting and waiting and waiting. And it ends up hurting them. Whew. Feels good in here. So we got back and we started gluing up pieces for our